Hello everyone, nubkeks here. Welcome back to Nub Raids. We're fresh out of the shower and we have news on the champions who are going to be boosted up for the Sweethearts Path event. So yeah, we've seen, obviously we've got the souls in there. We've got an avatar frame. There's going to be some mythical relic fragments too. So yeah, it's a big one for the whales. Is it a big one for normal players? Well, we've got a poll. I've literally just put the poll out. We'll see how it does as we go. But as of 2 minutes, in fact, let me hit refresh. Let's see, slightly updated. As of 3 minutes ago, with 40 votes so far, 2% of people getting both the souls. 20% of people will get one of the souls, so we've obviously left it up to whichever one they're going to go for. 54% are going to be doing the Hero's Path, but just getting the fragments for Naldua to finish the fusion. This is probably where I'm at, though I might go for her soul as well. I don't think I'm going to be getting both souls, because I don't have Solanar. And then 24% are skipping it. We'll check back in with that as we go. But here we go. These are going to be the boosted champions in 15x events during this. And yeah, there's one probably that stands out to you already. Woo! So we've got Modo of the Peal, Esme of the Dancer, or Esme of the Dancer, Esme the Dancer, Wight Queen. It's a bunch of partners, right? Modo and Esme partners. Wight Queen Ankora, her partner Narses is in there. We've got Rotos and Siphi, Sicia and Cardiel, Oella and... Oh, no! Poor Oella! Left there on her own, but Solanar's in there. Yeah, Oella, Ulton of the Shell, he's not in there. I guess Ulton is so shitty that they're not even going to bother. What do we think of these? Modo's okay. I wouldn't be too pushed about him. He is a good damage dealer for ogres. The dude, he's got AoE that can stun, 100% chance to stun on a 3-turn, which is cool. Extra hit on enemies under stun. If Esme's there, it always does the extra hit and ignores 20% defense, so she makes it guaranteed to do the big damage. Very nice if they've got block debuffs or whatever. And also 20% ignore defense makes it hit way harder. His A3 is an AoE that ignores shields, does 75% more damage, attacking enemies under Stone Skin. If you remove Stone Skin, he gets an extra turn. Problem with this is you kind of need like Stone Cleaver set, 6-star cracking roots blessing. Just a pain in the ass to actually remove Stone Skin. The funniest thing about this move is that it does 75% more damage against enemies under Stone Skin. Ooh, funny enough, his A2, if Esme's there and has a 20% ignore defense, this move does more damage against Stone Skin than this move does, which is hilarious. And then his A2 is the double hit, can place decreased defense. Whenever he kills an enemy, stuns the highest turn meter enemy for 2 turns, which is really good. Esme's there, he ignores 50% resist, and he gets intercept at the start of every turn, which is really nice. Like if stun gets reflected back, the intercept should block it. He's okay. He's good. The problem is Esme makes him a good bit better, but Esme's in a different faction, so he can never make use of it. He's very good for faction wars, right? He's pumping out AoE stuns when he kills people. He's doing an extra stun. That's nice. It brings a bit of decreased defense. So he's good for ogre faction wars. Other than that, yeah, it's about right. Like, he's a solid damage dealer with stuns. He's good. He's above average, but I think about a 4 out of 5 is about right. You know, he's good, but he relies on Esme, which is awkward. So I wouldn't really recommend Modo all that much. Esme is in a similar boat. She's like an above average support, but not absolutely game changer. Good speed in all battles aura. She's increased accuracy, increased speed, and can remove all buffs from all enemies. Really nice move. It is on a 4-turn, which is a little bit awkward with these buffs. You kind of prefer these buffs to be on a 3-turn. She can steal all buffs if Modo is there, which again is really cool, but it's unusual that you do run them together. Like, they're okay in arena, but nothing special. There's an AoE weaken and block buffs, decreases turn meters of enemies. If Modo is there, it steals the turn meter. Now that's actually really good for waves and things like that. Like, the pair of them together rip through waves. They're incredibly good at waves, right? Because he's pumping out stuns like crazy, and he's hitting really hard. She is stealing all their buffs. She's stealing all their turn meters. She's cycling through her turns. She brings increased attack on her A1 for Modo. Really, really nice against waves. Problem is, where do you fight difficult waves? Faction wars, hard, is the hardest place. They're in different factions. Grim Forest, some of those waves can be somewhat tricky. But it's quite difficult to get them both together. Anywhere that it's a difficult wave, it's very hard to guarantee you get a pair. You'd have to redraw again and again and again. So not great there either. She's good against Hydra, but Modo's not particularly good against Hydra. I don't know. They're okay. But look, AoE weaken block buffs is good on a 3-turn. Good. Increase attack. It's fine. This is good if you got some ally attacks in your team. You put her in the front with a speed aura. Ally attack comes in. The ally attack does her attack first. She gives increased attack to your attack-based damage dealers who go behind her. And then she's got quite a fun passive. So her passive got a chance to change crits into weak, normal, or strong. It's only crits. That part's a bit pants. Certainly with like champions these days with evasion, this feels pretty bad. Like it feels like this should just be buffed to give her a chance to evade, just straight up. That being said, obviously we've got Predator at the moment, who's like evasion should obviously be nerfed, I would say. But they probably won't because he's a paid champion and the outrage would be unbelievable, even though he's clearly annoying to fight against and kind of OP. Anyway, that's a whole other story. This part is cool though. On 1 turn cooldown, when she's hit, increase the turn meter of the ally with the highest attack by 50%, so she can sort of turn meter boost your nuker. I think they're both good, but neither is a champ I'd really be chasing in a 15x. Now, we've got Wight Queen Ankora. I feel like she has lost some value for sure with just having more options to compete with her. She's not quite as good as when she first came out, just by virtue of power creep in the game moving on a bit. Like her partner Narses, he's still decent, but again, he's just not as good as the more modern champions. But Ankora is very good. One of her biggest problems, she does a 10% turn meter pushback on her revive. Why is that a huge problem? It basically makes her hard countered by Marius. She revives her team, Marius counterattacks and probably just kills whoever she's revived instantly. She only brings them back with half HP. So there's a very good chance that her revival just makes Marius kill them and get an extra hit in on her. It's a really big problem. It's stronger if Narses is there. It actually matters. It should actually be genuinely better if she didn't push the turn meter back at all. Right? If she only pushed turn meter back when Narses was there, she would genuinely be a better champion because she wouldn't trigger Marius. You guys know how I feel about that. But yeah, it's a good revive. It does fully reset revived ally skills, which is cool. You can remove all debuffs from allies, give them a shield, which is nice, and give a small turn meter boost. Very small though. Narses is there to strengthen, which is good. Her A1 can reduce skill cooldowns. It always goes on Narses if he's there, which is nice. And this is a really good passive where when enemies try to put crowd control on the ally with the highest crit damage, she gets those debuffs instead. She might be quite interesting at 9-piece Mercurial because she should still redirect all those debuffs, but she'll be totally immune. So Mercurial is probably going to be really good on her. Shocker, Mercurial is really good on everybody, you say. But yeah, she is good without Narses. She's removing debuffs. She's got a decent revive, albeit not against Marius. She can give you cooldown reduction, and she protects your damage dealer from crowd control, which is really good for people that are vulnerable to it, like if they're not in Mercurial, right? If they don't have Wand of Submission, this is really good. So she has a place, a good speed aura. I think she's good. I think she's better, and she's got great base stats. 111 base, really, really nice. I think she is quite nice, but not as good as she was before. Rotos, I think, is very good as well. I put him maybe a little bit behind her, but still very, very good. Rotos, big single target damage. He is a potential to run 9-piece Mercurial because he can get so much ignore defense in his A3 anyway. He can probably just kill people regardless. And the extra turns get that up quite often and be difficult to kill. Very difficult. Multi-hits is his weakness, but other than that, he's very good. Big single target damage, chance for extra turns here. He's also very good in 9-piece Merciless because you can really chain extra turns and cooldown reduction. Potentially get a couple of A3s in a row if you're lucky. Get some extra turns on his A1. Can destroy max HP in his A2. Becomes quite tanky. He's a solid champion. Again, there's been power creep in the game. He is still good. He can still, when he works well, Rotos can solo teams. And he scales very well because he scales off so many different stats. But I think he's not quite as strong as he was before. There are just more champions that are good against him. There's a lot of good Force Affinity champions these days. Now, you could obviously give him the Death Dealer. He's an ideal champion to have the Death Dealer, and that might be kind of poggers, like a Death Dealer 9-piece Mercurial Rotos. But the question is, do you have a good blessing for Rotos? Do you have a Death Dealer for him? Can you build him a 9-piece Mercurial? I don't know. He is still very good, though. He's always one to watch. He does have that potential as solo teams, but yeah, I think probably not as crazy. Sicia, again, she's okay. Her and Cardiel, I don't know. Sicia's okay. She's AoE burn. She gets an extra turn if she burns everybody. She's not Void Affinity, though, so it's difficult to burn everybody, but it is good. Her A2 is an AoE weaken. She can do decreased defense if 2 enemies have burn and activates burn. She was pretty good in Hydra for a while. The problem is that, like, again, with the power creep in the game, like, activating burns is such an early game thing for Hydra. Just not really relevant past the early game because you do so ludicrous amounts of damage now. Now, she is still good for Hydra. She's still good there. And, like, she's still good for Faction Wars. Her Affinity definitely messes her up. You can weak hit, and that's a bit of a pain in the ass to be weak hitting on your weaken and decreased defense champion. Difficult to guarantee the extra turn. Give her Affinity Breakers, not bad. Cardiel, she doesn't really gain anything much off of Cardiel. Like, what she's getting some, she's basically your team heal from burns instead of receiving damage. Doesn't make a huge difference. I guess you could run her and him to counter Volcanos in Arena. I don't know if I've seen anyone do that. Maybe it works. But yeah, she's okay. She's solid enough. I think Affinity does mess her up. She's a decent support. One thing that's a bit of an issue is she's very slow and very squishy. So she's difficult to make work to the maximum ability. But she's all right. Maybe she's a little bit... I don't know. I don't think she's that much better than Modo or Esme. I give Esme a little bit of an edge over Modo, perhaps. Good progression. Oella is quite nice. I like Oella a little bit more than these. Oella is actually quite good for Chimera because she brings increased resistance with lots of turn meter boost. And then she has a really good heal and increases ally buffs by a turn. There's decreased speed A1 as well. And she also can put out continuous heals when people take damage. It's a simple kit, but it's quite effective. And she's got lovely base stats as well. She does have a partnership with Ultin of the Shell, but you don't really need to worry about it. She gains very little, just getting stronger continuous heals. It doesn't really matter. Can't be resisted her sleep if Ultin is there. That is nice. But for Chimera, she's very nice. She's a lovely partner for Titus. Because of the increased resist, increasing ally buffs, perfect. That's exactly what he wants for Chimera. And then the decreased speed, really nice. Like, I use Androck in the team. Oella is possibly just straight up better. She's sort of budget Androck. She has the advantage of bringing decreased speed, which does open up some trials, maybe actually boost your damage similarly, to be honest. She's really solid. She can be okay-ish for some arena and niche stuff. Could be a turn meter booster with increased resist. Pretty niche, but it is there. She's a good champion. I think she's pretty underrated. Okay, yeah, I mean, seems about right. Good for Chimera and Hydra. Iron Twins. Oh yeah, very good for Iron Twins as well. Not bad for Faction Wars. I think she's quite nice. I think if you've got Titus, she's worth considering actually quite a bit for Chimera. In fact, I'd say maybe she's... No, not... Yeah, I'll put her a little... I think that's fine. I think if you've got Titus, put Titus right there, she actually gains quite a bit of value. So she would be a very reasonable one to pick. So I think you could go for, you know, Ankora, Rotos, or Oella. I think are all good choices. Sicia is all right too, but not... I think she's not as good, I think, as she seems. And then Modo and Esme are both fine. I think you could reasonably sort of pull for any of them. Like, they will all help you in a little bit in different areas of the game. You know, like Ogres is still pretty difficult. Faction Wars, Modo is certainly very good there. Esme is we're all okay, but nothing here that's blowing me out of the water. They're all... I think these three are pretty solid, but nothing too crazy. Now, when we come to the Voids, so I think Solanar is the big winner. Again, I think there's perhaps a little too much hype around Solanar at the moment. He is extremely good. I think he's obviously very good. Sort of like Marius, he's very good against mythicals and can really punish turn meter increases. So that is pretty sick, this passive right here. The passives on his skills are extremely good. Being immune to all debuffs and getting buffs instead, that's ridiculous. This move is one you just sort of use. You just use this move. It's very cool. Stealing all buffs on 100% turn meter absolutely claps. Can hit through Stone Skin as well. Very, very nice. And his passive, reviving him, sick, and basically denying enemy healing as well. So he is a menace in Arena. He is obviously better with Naldua, but the main difference when Naldua is there is that his attacks always crit. That's the main difference. So when you've got her, you can build him without 100% crit rate, which is very strong for Siege, Tag Arena, Classic Arena. Pretty rubbish for Live Arena, because if they ban her, then you'd have a damage dealer without any crit rate, which is a bit of a disaster. But they probably ban him instead of her, to be fair. So yeah, maybe you could just build him 30% crit rate, and there you go. Now, of course, as well, for Faction Wars, slightly awkward for Faction Wars. Yeah, he's not going to have any crit rate. So you kind of want two builds, the 100% crit rate when she's not there, then 0 crit rate when she is there, so that he always crits, which is powerful. He is good without her, though. You can totally run him without her, and he's still phenomenal. When you run her with him, I think the real benefit is that then you can build her without any accuracy, and you can build her with really high resistance instead. She can maybe actually resist lockouts and stuff. You build her a 9-piece Mercurial. Could be kind of interesting. But he is the clear winner. Now, I will say, put exclamation marks here. I feel like the bait here is you go, oh, it's a good chance for Solanar. What if I just keep pulling Void Shards to get his soul? You go, okay, I don't really need to do this hero's path, but what if I just keep pulling Void Shards? And I'll get Solanar from the Void Shards on the way to getting his soul, and it's just win-win, right? It's win-win. I think that is a really big bait. Most likely, what happens is you pull loads of Void Shards trying to get to Solanar's soul. You get to his soul. You might not even pull a legendary at all, and if you do pull it, more than likely, like 80% plus or something, not going to be him. And then you'll have pulled a bunch of Void Shards for some random Void legendary, if you're lucky, and you'll have a Solanar soul that's not going to do anything. So be really careful about being baited in. Assume that you won't get him. If you have, like, listen, look, if you pull, I think it's not a bad strategy for this event to pull some Void Shards, and hey, if Solanar pops out, happy days. If you're, and then you can go for his soul afterwards. That's great. But unless you are a Kraken, right? Unless you are spending a lot of money, it doesn't make sense. Now, for a Kraken, for someone that's like, I've got $1,000, and listen, I know that there's like children dying in need of medicine and all that in the world. There's lots of stuff I could do with this money, but I mean, those children, they can just die. I'd rather just have Solanar, to be honest, right? If you're in that situation, that's, you know, great, amazing, wow. Well then, yeah, you should just max out the hero's path. Why not just get everything in the hero's path? There's some mythical materials, there's lots of stuff in there, and you might get Solanar along the way. Why not? Great, you've made the world a better place. Let's go. So that is definitely something. Oh, some chickens, amazing. A video on that either out later or at some point today. But yeah, it's something that you could obviously do. Certainly you could fish for Solanar. Like for an end game player, going after the mythical materials with your Void Shards that you've got stockpiled and fishing for a Solanar is not the worst thing either. But do bear in mind, as always, I mentioned this in yesterday's video, that Solanar is amazing. It's not the worst thing to fish for, but the priority is finishing the Naldua fusion, obviously enough, but it's being prepared for the upcoming events. New faction is properly dropping next month. Maybe we'll have a fusion for it. Probably not. They might save that for later in the year. I don't know. There'll probably be some events for the new fusion. We're still expecting some sort of events for Edward and for Bayek as well. We're expecting those. So yeah, like there is stuff, you know, still coming. So just be careful about being baited in. I think he is the first pick here, the obvious one, best one, definitely, but don't get baited in. Okay, the other ones, Siphi is still excellent. I think Siphi is more useful than Ankora. Siphi really struggles against Supersonic, but she is still a really nice champion. I mean, she obviously, not out of the realms that they could give her. I think she could deserve a slight buff. What would I buff with Siphi? Give her a little bit more of a turn meter boost here. They nerfed it in the past. I think these days she could do with like 15 or 20% and swap the increased crit rate for like a 15% shatter buff, and she'd be more relevant. You could even buff the HP she revives people with. I don't know. She's still really good, even if they don't ever buff her. Yeah, sure, she's falling off, but she's still a great champion to have in your toolkit, mostly because she's really fast, and you put her in like 9-piece protection, and getting protected block debuffs, increased defense, and increased speed is really helpful on your team. You can be placing the irresistible sleep, which is amazing for Sand Devil, and also useful-ish for Arena. Yeah, she's still good. She's good anti-freeze, an anti-fear champion, which is there a bit in Arena as well. So she's not as insane as she was before. The main reason being that supersonic sets really mess her up, especially like Fabian. It's just a disaster, right? Fabian's typically in supersonic. She just gives Fabian a huge turn meter boost, and then he locks out her whole team and tries to remove her buffs and whatnot. But Siphi, she's still fantastic. She's still great. Obviously, as well, any speed champion relies on a 6-star soul quite heavily, because Plarium in their wisdom has put all of the speed star, of course. Cardiel is good. How good is Cardiel? I'd put him as similar to Rotos, to be honest, I think. Again, he's a champion who's like not as crazy as was before. To be fair, he is an ally attack champion that will gain some value for sure in a Mercurial meta. So that is something to watch. But yeah, ally attack. He brings quite a bit of healing on his A1, which is nice. And he does join in on some attacks, which is cool. So he actually adds up to quite a bit of healing. Then he's got full buff debuff removal with block debuffs and revive on death, which is cool. And a speed aura. He is one champion that might do well in Mercurial meta. Just give him lots of Mercurial, let him go. He also works pretty well in like 9-piece protection. Just build him super fast. I don't know. There's some potential for Cardiel. He's obviously very good for Fire Knight. He can give you revive on death even, which is helpful. It's kind of unique. There's no other champion that's giving you ally attack plus debuff removal, block debuffs. It's a nice combo. Yeah, I don't think he's quite this good. I think he has been power crept a little bit these days, but he's still phenomenal. So yeah, he's certainly worth it. Similar to Rotos, I think I don't know. Actually, to be honest, I'm going to say equal to Ankora. I think Siphi's a bit better. I think Solanar's better. I'm going to say with Mercurial, Cardiel is one to watch. That's quite helpful. There you go. And then Narses. Narses is decent. I'm going to say not quite as good as Rotos, but still good. Narses, yeah. He does have the combo with Ankora, which is still somewhat relevant. He's very good against enemies with shield or strengthen. He ignores defense. This move can clap. It double hits if they have shield or strengthen. If they don't have shield or strengthen, not quite so strong. That's really his purpose. But he very much hard counters some very specific enemies. Nekret the Great would be the most classic example. Funny enough, he's also extremely good against Ankora herself. But yeah, he's not bad. He has a block revive. It's a little bit difficult to trigger. They need to have lots of buffs on the enemy, but he can block revive. This can clap hard. He is good. I'd be saying, I feel like he's a sort of, 4 to 4.5 champion. He is good. He's like an A-tier champ. He is good. He's a good HP damage dealer, but like he's just been power crept by others. Like a lot of the mythicals are just better, like Predators on another level, etc. Like he's good, but not batshit crazy. But I get it's it's an interesting one. Like when he came out, it was Ankora in February 2 years ago, was it, or 3 years ago? I don't even remember now. And they did a guaranteed for Narses. It was like insane. It's the best void guaranteed they'd ever had. It was crazy. But like consider all the power creep we've had since then. Solanar is probably going to be something similar. That like wow, he's like a crazy void legendary. He's super super sexy right now. But like in a couple of years' time, probably going to be like Narses, where you're like, oh yeah, he's still really good. But, we've got way better stuff. We've got Void Mythicals now. We've got who knows what we'll have in a couple of years. Power creep is insane in Raid. So, yeah, that's something to fight against the FOMO. But there we go. So, in my thoughts, what are the ones to go for? I think Solanar the Gleaming is the clear first choice. I think Siphi is still good and still worth getting, even purely for just farming Sand Up. So, I give him number 1, Siphi number 2. Then I put Cardiel. Let me put this, I don't know, let's go like orange. I put Cardiel and Ankora, number 3. And you know what? Let's put Rotos and Oella joint 4th. And then maybe put Narses maybe a bit behind them. We could give him joint 4th as well. No, we'll put him a bit behind. I think something like this. I think it's fine. I think because Oella, because of her tightest teams, is quite valuable. So yeah, I think something like this. Am I being too generous to Cardiel? Should he be more on the Rotos level? I don't know, but there we go. I think Solanar is a clear winner. That's probably what I'll go for myself. Though it depends on your shards, right? If you got lots of sacreds, it might be better to just pull some sacreds and go for that. But yeah, I'll probably just throw much, hope I get Solanar. It's extremely unlikely, though. Again, don't get overly baited. That's the main takeaway. Don't get baited too much with Solanar. Amazing if you pull him, but don't ruin your chances for what's coming in March by wasting your shards chasing a dream, right? He's good. He's super hype right now. That's fine. These super hype champions ultimately fade into the background, typically, and the new hot thing comes out in the future. So, yeah, that's basically all I've got to say. What am I going to do? I obviously need the fragments for the fusion. I might grab her soul or some mythical fragments. We'll see how it lines up. I've got quite a good stockpile of shards. I'm in the luxurious position that I've got BAITED, so I can be quite loosey-goosey if I want to. But we'll see. I think the 2x Voids with 10x Solanar was better to chase him than the 15x, unless you've got absolute oodles of shards. But yeah, Krakens are going to be, I don't know, are they eating well this week? Certainly Plarium will be eating well this week because people are whaling like crazy for Solanar. And that sort of doubles down for me that I don't think they will run a guaranteed event for Solanar. Running so many shard events, people are spending so much money. I think the best you could expect for Solanar is to have him be guaranteed first place for a champ training or like a champion chase tournament. I could see that happening. I could. But yeah, I think he's a bit of a cash cow. I don't think they free. Yeah, there you go. Thanks for watching. Well, free. You get what I mean. Anyway, there we go. Let me know your thoughts. Oh, let's double check. Where are we at? The final check-in. Dun, 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 dun. Kind of what I'd expect. So, there you go. Up to 1/3 of people skipping. Yeah, anyone who skipped the fusion should obviously, I think, skip this path, right? So I'm a bit surprised. We only had 58% chronically undecided. Oh, I'm funny. That's interesting. 28% of people skip the fusion. Only slightly more are skipping. I don't know. I mean, I guess that implies that a lot of people who were unsure ended up going for the fusion. Like, I think the only way you would go for any of these top three is if you have the fusion. So that's interesting. Possibly some people got lucky and pulled Solanar as well. That didn't initially do the fusion. I don't know. Yeah, anyway, we'll see. Let me know your thoughts. Thanks for watching. I'll catch you next time. Goodbye.